Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this time I figured we would talk a little bit about harvest. Should harvest go core, and just like how I feel about it when it's like 1 month in or something, 3 weeks in. It's around that time, and yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. Now, obviously, for as a prefix, I don't know what to call it. But obviously, like I play a shit ton, and I've already played all the past leagues, right? So I'm gonna have a different experience to somebody trying Harvest as their first league, or I also love crafting, so I'm gonna have a different experience there. Um, I actually like Harvest. However, I can understand a lot of the issues that people are having with it. So it can seem extremely overwhelming, and it is. It is extremely overwhelming. Like at the start of the league, it took me a while to actually want to bother with it because I was pushing level 100, right? And that's what I wanted to focus on. And you just like you appear in this big area and you're like, okay. I guess I'll just slam down some of these, like the life force collectors. Um, and yeah, no, it was very overwhelming. And then pretty quickly, people that really love stuff like this, with like similar things like Factorio, they started making nice spreadsheets for different builds. Some with like crazy efficiency, some with more storage, um, and like a lot of different takes on it. And obviously, very quickly, even as soon as they started announcing some of the crafts, like before the league started, I was like, oh, this is gonna be broken. But that's kind of okay and cool in a way too, because of the way private leagues, or sorry, just the way leagues work with, it's only 3 months, right? So it's not going to affect the next league. Um, However, as much as there's a lot I like about it, but I don't think it should go core. And I want to talk about that pretty early in this video before I talk more about what I like about it and stuff. The reason I don't think it should go core is kind of the same reason I don't really want any mechanic to go core right now. Um, and that is because I currently hate all this stuff where it's like, okay, this mechanic is going core. It's going to be 10% chance in every map. And I'm like, okay. So you mean like all the other ones? Like everything is just being mushed into maps. And I think that is a bit of an issue with the game right now, that everything is in maps. Every single thing in the game is tied to maps. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I personally don't think so. I really wish that there were more standalone gameplay things that you could like. Maybe I want to go visit the Harbinger world or the Breach world or the Beyond world and just do that. Maybe I've never done maps this league because I just love the Breach world. It's so cool. Um, and like Delve, I think is the hardest like chance for something to be standalone right now, or that like that's the other thing that's like the most similar to a standalone endgame. And Delve could have been, in my opinion, Delve could have been complete standalone endgame. Obviously, the rewards would have to be different then, because there should be some sort of balance or some things that you want to do all the different endgames for. But I think if I wanted Harvest to go core, what I would love to see would be Harvest patches in Delve. And again, like this is probably like a lot of people are going to disagree with this. Some people will love Harvest, some people will hate Harvest, some people don't want to ever see it again. But if it was going to go core, I would love to encounter, like, imagine that this was a Harvest patch. So you can get between 0 to 10 like cities, but you would have like harvest things. And then you would go in there and there would be like X amount of like fields. You empty the fields. Maybe it's always full fields of sometimes red, sometimes yellow, sometimes blue. And then um from time to time it would let you just like throw a craft in your crafting bench. It would let you store a craft there, straight in your crafting bench. I think that's like what I would enjoy the most. I it's not something I feel like it's just something that could go as a 10% chance to maps. And I also feel like the crafting things are pretty healthy for Path of Exile. I think a lot of people are enjoying crafting a lot more that didn't normally like it. Obviously, there's a lot of people that just want to buy items. They don't really want to craft, and it's a very complicated crafting system, with how the tags work, and especially once you start getting into meta crafts like these cannot attack mods, caster mods, prefixes, and suffixes cannot be changed. Then a lot of people are just sitting there like question mark, dude, literally a big question mark. Um, and the other thing that I really don't like about Harvest is that it's a very hard break on the content loop. Like, for example, Delirium, while it had a lot of things wrong with it, the way you enter Delirium or the way you enter Breach is really nice. You run through the mirror and boom, you're in the Delirium mechanic now, which is gray on gray and punishes backtracking and has loads of undeath explosions. Which, obviously a lot of those things I don't like, but the activation mechanic and how fluid and seamless it is with my gameplay is just really great. It was arguably a little bit too rewarding, and Harvest also a little bit too rewarding, but that's gonna depend a lot on how much you play, right? If you're somebody that plays 1,000 hours of League, you're going to probably want less rewards so you don't feel burnt out as quickly compared to somebody that is playing 50 or 100 hours of League, right? Then they're gonna want to, hey, oh cool, I can actually try the fun builds now. So your opinion is probably going to be skewed a little bit regardless of, or depending on how much you play. But I do think Harvest has a lot of cool things to offer. I've been trying to make like a new series on all like the build guides that I've been playing a lot called Craft the Build, where I go over each individual piece and I say like how to harvest craft it, what to look out for, how to manipulate the item levels and stuff like that. And hopefully that's helping make crafting a little easier for some people because I know it can be like very overwhelming and looking at the tags and stuff. I've been trying to like explain that better. And there's a lot of pros and cons I think to the deterministic crafting like we have now, because for example my weapon right now or very similar ones you can actually make easier ones with like a deafening essence of woe, and that's kind of better I think, or easier, but either way you can make like crazy easy crafts like this now, and that kind of takes a little bit away from them. Because if I got this last league, this would have been what, 30, 60x, depending on what league you're on, right? Like, it's crazy. Getting spell gems and another one before was like basically almost mirror worthy, sometimes mirror worthy in a league, especially on hardcore trade league, right? Because we had very, very limited crafting. So, like, and if you had to hit something like this, or imagine identifying something like this, you'd be like screaming, right? Showing all your friends, like, oh my god, this is almost more exciting than a headhunter. Um, Whereas now, this is something I think it took me 6 or 8 hours or something in quarry farming to make this, and it's like item level 65 base. And I explain how to make this in like both the Chaos Slinger guide and the ED crafted build thing. So they are like very straightforward to make and a cheaper, easier version too. And same with like really, really like crazy 90 spell damage +1 spell gem shields. They're also very easy to make now. Um, However, like there are like different levels of excitement then. Now it's a little bit more like, oh, I do get the augment. Like I did get a chaos augment or a fizz augment. So I'm not 100% sure what I prefer. I think this is probably healthier for the game. Um, and it is like it really takes advantage of like the Path of Exile crafting system, where it really rewards knowledge. And that is obviously very punishing for new players too, because I can do a quick example, and I do want to try to do some very generic crafting guides too, but let's look at this mace, right? This could be something, especially if like players don't know about holding alt to see mods and they don't have the if you go to user interface and do advanced mod descriptions, this could have been something that I could easily see a new player vendoring. However, this with just remove cold resistance, I can multi-mod this to be like 750 PDPS. So that's like a really, really completely endgame weapon that can easily do Awakener and stuff like that, right? And it's something that a lot of people would have possibly vendored. So that's like another like level of exciting things for me. Like when somebody has played a lot, then you can see these things. You'll go like, oh my god, dude! And I didn't even realize this like with some of the things in start. I remember seeing a clip of Carve finding a spell damage one, and I hadn't really thought about it until then. And he was like, oh, this is so exciting, and I was like, why? Oh, I see. And I had to like actually understand that later. So it is very advanced and it is very overwhelming. Um, there are a few other things. Like, I think the building and that aspect of it could be better. Like, is there really a massive need for the pylon system? That seemed like very, very factorial and maybe a little bit out of place for Path of Exile, in my opinion. Um, I mean, I'm sure there are loads of people that like and dislike it, but I've heard so many people have, seen something like this, and they're like, fuck this league, dude. I don't want to play it. It's too complicated. So it's a little bit too complicated in that regard. Maybe somehow having the building be simplified. Um, I think with a lot of the stuff they did do a good job with explaining too. It was a little annoying, I guess, that you had to talk to a shabby all the time, or you didn't get like the proper upgrades. I know a lot of people struggle with that in the start, but as you can see, like this is a fairly good system. I might do like a small tutorial on how I've like experienced harvest, some with crafting and some with setting up the thing. But I think this layout is linked at exclamation mark farm in my channel, and yeah, I find it pretty optimal. I'm going to probably remove or move some of the pylons and squeeze it a little bit tighter and put down more storage tanks. I think. I'm not looking forward to doing this. I think this is all dragons. They're like actually rippy. I could be wrong though. But yeah, a lot of cool things with Harvest. A little bit surprised with how OP it is with like all the deterministic crafting with, augment defense, augment chaos. Um, yeah, that like I just wanted to like sum it up, and I really wanted to like get it out there. I think it would be so cool with ideally if we have multiple like standalone end games, and like as another solution, having something called maybe only core in Delve, because maps are getting kind of crowded. I don't like Metamorph at all, as an example. I don't think Metamorph is a good suited for the game, and I know a lot of people disagree with this. There's so many people that love Metamorph, but I just don't think that everything needs to go core when it is only it's just, yeah, so squeezed in, I feel. Um I think that's like pretty much all my thoughts summed up. So I hope you guys like the thoughts videos and a little bit about how I felt about Harvest. And I do quite like the league. I really do enjoy it. Having a lot of fun playing. Been playing a lot off stream too. But yeah, hope you guys are enjoying all the YouTube videos. Trying to pump a lot more content than normal. And yeah, thanks for watching. Try to die less than I do.